Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend, Catherine Mary Stewart, who's been on the show 3 times before. She's coming on today to talk about her very first movie, the classic musical, The Apple. She shot that movie over 40 years ago. It came out in 1980. Shot in 79, came out in 80, and we're going to be talking about it today. I love talking to Kathy. She's so awesome, and she's a lot of fun, and going to have her on the show and talk about it. So, here is my new interview with Catherine Mary Stewart.
Hello.
Hey, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm great. Oh, how was your holiday season?
Great. Yeah, very nice, very low-key. Enjoyed it very much.
I know. I can't believe it's 2019 already.
I know. It's always hard to, remember. It's such a weird number, too. It's I don't know, kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting number to me.
Yeah, it's one of the many years that people are saying that the world is going to end.
Oh, not again. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Remember Y2K?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Oh, I was really scared that night thinking it was going to happen. I was 16 at the time. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I really thought it was going to end. I believed.
We're still here, so.
Yeah, I believed everything my grandmother said.
Oh, did she say it was going to end?
Yeah, she was very religious.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome though that you had a good holiday season. Mine was low key too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good, I guess. Were you happy to have it low key?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, a lot of food. Now I'm on a diet.
Oh, yes, well, but isn't that how it always is?
Oh yeah, especially during the holidays.
Yep. Oh, what's up?
So, your very first movie was The Apple over 40 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I didn't mean to time it. I didn't mean to time it.
40 years ago, really? God. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Yep, over 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm. You were lucky enough to get top billing in your first movie. How did it come to you?
Oh, yes. Well, I was living in London, England at the time, and I was studying dance. I was at a performing arts school in London, primarily dance, but also acting and singing and all that other junk. I knew at that point that I wanted to be a performer, but I thought that it was going to be in dance. And I went to this audition for The Apple as a dancer, and they kind of pulled me. It was like this cattle call audition. There must have been 200 dancers there. I'd never done anything like that before. I mean, I danced professionally in a company in Canada, but I'd never sort of auditioned outside of that situation. So this was new, so it was kind of intimidating. And they pulled me out of the crowd and asked if I was an actor, and of course I said yes. And they had me read for the lead role in The Apple, yeah. And I got it. Like about 2 days later, I was like, well, now I'm doing a feature film. Okay.
Wow, I always knew you were a dancer first, but I didn't know that you hadn't studied acting yet when you did The Apple. Wow.
Well, I mean, I had on a certain level. It wasn't sort of my primary, study. But like I said, I was in this performing arts school that we took acting class and singing class and every kind of dance imaginable. And I'd also been very involved with the theater program in high school. Went to London at 18, so I didn't go to an acting college or something like that. But no, I've had quite a bit of training, really.
Wow, that's amazing.
It just wasn't my focus necessarily. I was sort of focusing on dance because that's what I'd always done, and I just loved it so much. So when the Apple came along and I got the role, my focus definitely shifted. And I decided I was going to pursue this acting thing, and that's when I really put my nose to the grindstone and trained and went to lots and lots of different classes, moved to Los Angeles eventually, and, worked on the craft, I guess, of acting, and ended up with Days of Our Lives.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of the script being so campy, weird, and about drugs?
Well, I'd never seen a movie script before.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know. I was just reading it. I thought it was fun. I was sort of caught up in the idea that, they'd cast me as this actress. I knew it wasn't a porn per se, so that was good. But I thought it was funny. Everybody involved was very, very professional. I mean, this was Canon Films was going to be, in their minds, their breakthrough movie into the American film industry. And at that time also, in the 80s, I mean, they were doing a lot of these kind of camp rock musicals like Xanadu and stuff like that. The writers were incredibly talented. I mean, the musicians in this movie were amazingly talented, reputable people. So, and also the budget was relatively big, so I had no hesitation. And like I said, I'd never read a script before, so I just kind of thought it was funny.
Yeah. Now at that age, going to in high school and college, were you into smoking marijuana?
Wow, that was a little shift in the tangents there.
I'm just curious because it's a movie about drugs.
Yes, I guess it is it's not really about drugs, is it? Well, I guess I do sing that song called Speed, but it's sort of metaphorical, I think. It's more about power and, like this tyrannical leader, Boogaloo. But I do sing that one song called Speed, and that's kind of suggesting that you've got to pump and power by the hour, take drugs too. But it was also, that song was a big sort of hard rock genre song, so I wouldn't categorize the movie being about drugs, but I mean, who didn't smoke a little pot? But I didn't like it. I was not good at all that stuff. I wasn't good at smoking cigarettes. I tried, but I was really bad at it.
That's good.
I tried smoking marijuana, but I really hated how I reacted to it. I hated it. It made me feel very insecure. I just want to crawl into a hole and go to sleep. So it wasn't something like, oh, I have to smoke pot, And I'm the same to this day. I enjoy a glass of wine. That makes me happy.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with a glass of wine. I miss those days. I can't drink anymore, but I miss those days of drinking red wine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the movie represents a social commentary metaphor of some kind, like the difference between good and evil?
Absolutely. I would say that is the story. It's I think very blatantly a story about good and evil. It's a story it's called The Apple, and it kind of is a metaphor for the Adam and Eve story. There's a godlike character in Joss Ackland. Vladek Sheybal plays the devil that even shows up in one of the scenes, and I'm like the ultimate innocent person, and George Gilmore plays kind of an Adam character that sees the evil, and I get caught up in it all because there's even a song called Take a Bite of the Apple, and which I do, and then I get involved with this sort of corrupt music industry. So yes, it's absolutely a metaphor for good and evil.
Yeah, and the music industry part, that predated a movie we talked about one of the last few times that you did years later, Scenes from the Gold Mine.
Yes, it did. Yeah. That was fun. That was not so much, well, it was a little bit. My character in Scenes from the Gold Mine, I definitely get taken advantage of. My talent is sort of stolen from me and whatnot. But that was more just about the rock and roll business and trying to make it, I guess. I really loved doing that because it was, for me, what's the most fun about being an actor is you get to live vicariously through these characters. You get to be characters that you could never be in real life. And I love that so much. I feel like I've had so many different careers.
Yeah. I mean, you have had a versatile career. I remember back in the 90s, I used to watch VH1's Musical Weekend, and they would show this, and they would show the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell and Hair, They would show all these like crazy rock musicals, and The Apple I thought was the most interesting one.
Yes. Interesting is a good word for it. It was created by Menachem Golan and Yoel Levis. I mean, they were the big influence, and they were a big filmmaking duo in Israel. But I always say that I feel like the sort of Israeli sensibility and trying to translate it into an American sensibility, there's something lost there, and but it does make for an interesting outcome, I have to say.
Yeah. I know that he was hoping this would be his big breakout film in the U.S. What was he like as a director?
He was passionate. He knew what he wanted, and he would do what he had to do to get it out of you. I mean, he was like, I remember one scene where Grace Kennedy, who is this wonderful singer from England, she played Dandy, I think was the name. There was a song where she had to cry, and she was having trouble getting the tears going, and he was just like brutal on her to get her to cry.
Yeah.
It worked, whatever. But he's very, as a director, he's very direct. One time I misread my call sheet, and we were shooting this in Berlin, and it was in West Berlin. It was before the wall was taken down, and West Berlin was like this little island in the middle of East Germany. There was East Berlin, where the wall was, and then there was Berlin, and it was sort of surrounded by East Germany at that time. And it was like, I think that sort of just being that little island surrounded by a very suppressed kind of culture, it could have made West Berliners kind of over the top, sort of crazy. It felt kind of like living in the middle of a circus in many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, nightlife was just unending every night of the week. And you could see all sorts of crazy stuff there. But anyway, this one day, I misread my call sheet for the next day, and I ended up staying out all night with a bunch of people. And I got back to the hotel, I don't know, at 8 in the morning or something ridiculous. I hadn't had a wink of sleep, and they were going frantic looking for me because I was supposed to be on the set. I had an early call. So I ended up, I don't know, getting ready. I hadn't had, like I said, I hadn't had a wink of sleep. I ended up on the set, and I was sitting there in makeup, and they're throwing the makeup on me, and Menachem comes down into the makeup room, and he just sets into me, says, "You're late. You're late for the set. You will never work in this industry again." I was sitting in makeup like, oh, wow, that's intense, man. But the reality is, it costs thousands and thousands of dollars for everybody every minute, that you're not there, that they can't shoot. So, it was a big mistake, and I learned my lesson for sure, but, he was not one to hold back if he was angry or if he had an opinion about something or whatever. I mean, he wasn't horrible to work with, but he was pretty set in his ways, I guess.
Yeah, I've always heard that about him. Whatever happened to George Gilmore? It's like his only movie credit on IMDb.
I don't know. He kind of checked out, I don't think he ultimately wanted to be an actor. Mm-hmm. He was a musician before he did The Apple, and I just don't think he felt like it was a great experience, ultimately. So I know he was married and he had a child, but I don't know what happened to him. I think he just decided he didn't want to be a part of any of this, and I don't blame him. It's crazy.
He probably stayed in music.
Probably, I would think so.
Yeah, he was a handsome fella, and he could have been a pretty good actor if he stayed in it.
Yeah, it just was not something that he was passionate about at all, I don't think. So.
What was Joss Ackland like to work with?
He was wonderful. He was like this big, sort of huggable, father-like character. He was a sweet, sweet man. He and I ended up going. The Berlin Wall was still there, and you could go through from the west into the east on a train through Checkpoint Charlie and all this stuff, this infamous, wall barrier entrances and things like that. So we, one day, on one of our days off, we decided to check out East Berlin. So we spent the day, we got on a train and went into East Berlin, and we spent the day together there, and it was just fascinating. It was, I spoke about how West Berlin was sort of like over-the-top kind of crazy lifestyle. It was completely the opposite in East Berlin. It was gray, it was quiet, there was very few signs of any kind of life at all, or greenery or anything. It was a very interesting educational experience, and I did that with Josh, which was pretty fun. I think he lost his passport. He misplaced his passport. We went to get on the train to come back to West Berlin, and he couldn't find his passport. So that was kind of a crazy moment or two. I forget the details now. I think he might have left it in a restaurant or something, but he did find it again. But we were like freaking out because if he didn't have a passport, they might not have let him back into West Berlin. That would not have been good for the schedule.
Yeah. It must have been beautiful over there in Berlin.
It is. It's a pretty place. We shot in Hamburg. That's where that big, the opening scene with the big convention center, sort of futuristic convention center. That was in Hamburg, I believe. So yeah, we got to move around a little bit. It was cool. It was great. It's great to be able to. That's another part of this industry that's so great is the travel, the locations.
I mean, that's where they shot Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and yeah, and this was pre-Cold War Germany. So I'm pretty sure like you guys didn't run into any trouble with the German customs guards or anything.
I mean, what do you mean it's pre-Cold War? I mean, it was right in the middle of the Cold War.
Oh, I thought that was later for some reason.
The wall was up at that time. Yeah, no. When the wall was up and it was communists all around, that was sort of during the Cold War, I believe. But no, it was very interesting. There was a lot of security flying into Berlin. I mean, a lot. It was because you had to get on an airplane in West Germany and fly over East Germany's airspace. So there was a lot of security. Yeah, you were literally patted. Everybody who got on an airplane was patted down. Before they had X-ray machines and things like that, which was a similar experience to going to Israel. Very high security because Israel is like this little island surrounded by their enemies basically. So same kind of a situation.
And I always loved your hair in the movie. It's so late 60s, flower power hippie chick like.
My hair was long and right down to my waist. I mean, I'd been growing it for years. It had always been like that as a dancer. And, yeah, cut that off when I got to L.A. put a perm in.
Yeah, in many different styles too.
Yep.
Now, was this the movie where I've heard you talk about this before in interviews? Did you did so much dancing that you lost feeling in your toes for like 10 years?
Literally. I mean, it was that one number called Speed, where it's not a lot of dancing, but I was in these boots where the heels were like 4 inches high, and we shot it over a period of a couple of days, and just doing those movements for 2 days straight, it cut off the blood in my toes, literally, because there was so much pressure on my the ball of my foot because the heels were so high that I literally lost feeling in my feet in my toes specifically. And I must have just damaged the nerves in the ball of my foot or something. Yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, that's what I attribute it to. I have the feeling back now, but yeah, it was really, really hard doing even those simple steps because they weren't like complicated steps, but it was just the boots that I had to wear made it very difficult. It was like dancing on stilts, sort of, except more painful.
Yeah, when I broke my leg in the car accident, I lost all feeling in my right foot, and it's been slowly coming back in the last 4 years. Slowly.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's amazing how, nerves can rejuvenate and recover. Our bodies are a miracle.
Yeah, they truly are. Especially the most amazing organ that works is the liver. It always like regenerates.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we put it through a lot, that liver.
Yeah, we certainly do. So the movie comes out and it doesn't do well. And what did you think when that happened? Did you think that your career was going to be over?
Well, at that point, I didn't have a career. So I literally, even when Menachem said to me, "You're never going to work in this industry again," I was like, "Oh well, okay." It was fun while it lasted. I didn't put a lot of precedence on this career that it just kind of appeared. I was like, I'll stick with my dancing. So, I also, again, brand new to the industry, didn't really understand or think about much the impact. I mean, I know that Menachem was very, very upset. He was very upset that it wasn't well received. It opened the Montreal Film Festival in like 1981, I think, or something, or 1980, and it just wasn't received well, and that was devastating because he had so much at stake. But for me, it was like I was on this sort of roller coaster ride, and I was enjoying it, but I really hadn't thought about it in terms of, now I've got it made for the rest of my life. I was just like testing the waters, really. And it didn't really have much of an impact on me in terms of my career because I didn't have a whole, log of work. This was the only thing I'd done. And what they're interested in Los Angeles is new faces and sort of young people. And the fact that I played the lead role in a feature film was enough to give me sort of street cred, And I got from the Apple, I got an agent, and they got me out, and I ended up auditioning a lot, and ended up on Days of Our Lives after doing a couple of episodic things.
Right. I mean, it's a small movie, but you had this big responsibility of having top billing and carrying your first movie alongside George Gilmore, but thank God it didn't get any notice because, people would have remembered that forever.
Well, it gets lots of notice now. I've got this huge following now. It's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it really didn't have because it looked great on paper, and that's all they cared about. And it's not something that haunts me. I embrace it, frankly. And it's not something that people now, 40 years later or whatever the heck it is, say, oh, she did that movie, so we're not going to hire her. You know, I managed to build up a pretty good resume, so, you know, it really hasn't affected my career per se.
You've had a fantastic resume. I forgot, has this movie become a Broadway musical?
It has not become a Broadway musical, but there was a company, I think it was in Chicago maybe, that they were this theatrical company that would put up these sort of versions of really bad musicals, and they would just sort of, the cast would stand, they wouldn't stage it necessarily, they were just like standing there, they had some simple costumes, and they had the script, and they would just kind of say the words, I'm sure they rehearsed it and stuff like that. And I don't know how I found out about this, but they sent me a video of it. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. It was just so funny to watch because it really sort of displays the kind of ridiculousness of the story and the characters. But then they emphasize that too, of course. But no, it hasn't become a Broadway musical. The Last Starfighter was.
Oh, well, it has?
Yeah, The Last Starfighter was on Broadway for a little while, years ago. I think I was living here and I didn't know about it. I'm so mad.
Yeah, I didn't know about it either until you just brought it up.
Yeah, that was made into a musical and was playing here for a while, but years and years ago now.
Wow, that must have looked good.
I know, it would have been fun to see if I'd known about it.
Maybe somebody will bring it back.
Yeah, I think there's a script somewhere. You know, I think you can get the book.
Yeah, and people are like doing musical adaptations of so many movies that weren't musicals. Like Barbara Crampton's movie Reanimator turned into a musical years ago.
Oh, was it? Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I'd like to see it too.
I know, that'd be great.
Yeah. I was curious, Kathy. How do you feel that this year? And I won't be specific, but I'm doing the timeline thing again.
You can be specific. It's okay. I'm getting old, is the thing.
This year, you're coming up on a milestone birthday. How do you feel about that?
What? How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, what can I do? I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, so I feel fine. I'm like, you know, I think I've already started to sort of plan a birthday celebration just because it is a milestone, and what the hell, you may as well. So I don't want to do anything super outrageous, but what I really want to try to do is gather as many friends together in one place as possible, just to do that. That's what I would like to do mostly. But yeah, it's weird. It's a bizarre number. I mean, well, let's just say it. I'm gonna say it. Damn it! It's 660. I was gonna say it rhymes with Trixie
Pixie.
And yeah, it's pretty. I have to say, it's starting to sound. I kind of dug turning 50 in a way. That felt like a milestone too. But it's starting to sound old, and the only weird thing for me is that it's kind of unrelatable. I don't feel old. I remember my parents at 60 quite clearly, and they seemed kind of old to me at that time. I just think it's just a different time. You know, I feel I still feel very energetic and very youthful, and I have lots of things that I want to do still, so many things that I'm trying to do. So I feel almost like sort of, I feel more what's the word? I can't think of the word. But I feel like there's so much more to do, and that I'm at a place in my mind and in my body physically and in my life where I can really accomplish a lot. So I'm excited.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, you baby boomers have such a more positive outlook on getting older than the generation before you guys did, I noticed.
Yeah, I think we're just younger. You know how they say, 40 is the new 30 or whatever. I sort of feel like that. I think that's fairly accurate. I mean, 60 is the new, for me, it feels like maybe 40, but I feel really good. I'm still working out and exercises almost every day, and I'm very, very busy. Yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah, a couple of months ago, I interviewed Dee Wallace just before she became 70, and she's got 200 plus movie and TV credits, and she's like, I gotta keep it going. I'm not gonna quit anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Is in our business, you can keep going. It's not like there are no old people acting or old characters or whatever. I embrace all that. I embrace being a grandmother. I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can keep going as long as the work is coming in.
That's right. There are definitely fewer roles, but hopefully less competition. If you hang in there long enough, maybe less people are inclined to do that. Less actors.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. And you look great, and you look gorgeous. I mean, you don't look 60 at all.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Whatever that means, whatever it means to look 60. Because I am.
At least 15 years younger.
Well, thank you very much.
Of course. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on again. I love talking to you, and people love hearing us talk, by the way.
Oh, good. I'm about to sneeze. Oh, almost. Damn. Don't you hate that when that happens? I was sneeze and then it went away. Oh.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is sneeze. I don't know why. It feels so good.
I actually dislike sneezing. To me, it's a little embarrassing.
I love it. Well, it's embarrassing, but you don't want to do it like in somebody's face. But it just feels so good, just to get it all out.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was great to talk to you as well, Tommy, and I look forward to it again, and maybe we'll see you at some convention or something.
Yeah, because I hope I see you this year, because it's been almost 3 years since I last saw you, and
I know.
That would be great.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, you take care of yourself, and here's to 2019.
Yes, here's to 2019. It's going to be a great year for both of us.
I hope so. I'm here's counting on it.
Yeah.
All right. You take care, okay?
Okay, you too.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Catherine Mary Stewart. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, thank you so much, Kathy. I just love talking to you. We get positive feedback from the shows that we do, and because we get along so well. And I'll have you on again. I don't know what we'll talk about. We've talked about most of your career, but we'll see what happens in the future. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.